everybody. This is Albert with the Pocho podcast, and I'm here with a special guest today. I have Francisco. How's it going, Francisco?
How's it going, Beto? Good to be here on the podcast. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, no problem. So, Francisco Velasco, it's good. I see you a lot on Twitter. I see your coverage for Cholos, for Puebla. I agree with a lot of what you, I guess, the controversial takes you have, and well, controversial not to me necessarily, but to other people, it's pretty entertaining. It's always fun to listen or to see your takes, and I like the coverage that you have whenever you go down to different various parts in Mexico to cover the Puebla team, Cholos, and all the like. So I guess just to start, just sort of want to get usually when I talk to people, I sort of want to get a background of their, growing up as Mexican American or Mexican in the United States, and how the influence of Mexican culture happened in your life, and even the soccer culture, like was Spanish speaking common in your home? Was soccer always on the TV, and how did that influence happen? So if you could just give a little bit of a background of the Mexican culture and how you grew up with that.
Yeah, well, I was born in San Diego, California. Well, more specifically, Chula Vista, which is like 5 minutes away from the border, basically. And yeah, we were always like Spanish was pretty common, in my household. Both my parents spoke it. My dad's the one that spoke more English. But where I grew up, the high school that I went to was like more than 90% Mexican, Mexican American, Mexican people. And growing up here, you always saw like everything, like billboards in Spanish, signs in Spanish, everything, and then the border's really close. So all my life, I always crossed between TJ and San Diego as well. But yeah, it was like I don't know. I guess it's pretty different than growing up in other places in the U.S.
Yeah, I find I find it pretty common. I guess the people that I've talked to, or like in the LigaMX English community and on Twitter and everything, a lot of the community is from locations in California, like where you grew up, or even like Texas or other locations where it's commonly Spanish. My background is sort of different. I grew up in northern Florida, pretty much I call it Southern Alabama. And there was no Mexican, nothing like that. So sort of the opposite type. So how did you become a soccer fan? How did that specifically? What's your team? Like why do you follow your team and all that?
Yeah, well, where I live, like you could get the LigaMX games on the antenna, from the TJ signal.
Yeah.
So in San Diego, you could actually get the signal from Mexico, and it was really easy to watch LigaMX games growing up. So I would always watch them, mainly with my grandfather. He's the one that really got me into LigaMX. I would always watch the games. My grandfather, he didn't really support the team. He just said, "I just hate America, but I don't support anybody." But yeah, always growing up with him, he would give me the newspapers to read, the Esto, and like these magazines as well, like Fútbol Total and stuff. And that's how I really got into, I guess, journalism. That's how I knew I wanted to do that growing up as well. But yeah, LigaMX, growing up, the first team I ever supported, I think, was Chivas, mainly because of my dad. Mm-hmm. And then Osvaldo Sanchez, he went to Santos. And then I kind of started supporting Santos for a bit there. And yeah, Santos was my team for a long time. And now I guess I support Puebla. I know it's been a few teams, but like the thing with Puebla, it's like it was really special just going there. And I've never felt like a connection like that to a city and a team. That's why I chose Puebla. And yeah, now basically I'll be Puebla for life now. But yeah, it's basically mainly that connection I felt with that city. I've never really felt it with any other LigaMX team. And but yeah, I've had a few LigaMX teams in my life.
Yeah, that's cool. Puebla, I haven't been, but yeah, it seems like a really nice place. I want to try to head over there. On the Cantina podcast, we joke around with the stadium, like the shower curtain stadium. So it'd be cool to check that out.
Yeah, where there's some people they call it the la canasta. Some people like the,
yeah.
but yeah, some people do joke around about it a bit.
No, yeah, that definitely needs to be a destination on my list. So I guess just going into um, general topics of soccer, and I know the big thing right now is the MLS, all the action going on with MLS and Mexican players going to MLS and the whole rivalry. I guess to ask a question, let me just state like sort of my history on this whole thing. Like I started watching soccer or Mexican soccer and being really interested in it when it was a huge rivalry with the U.S. when that was starting, and then 2002 came and the U.S. beat Mexico in the World Cup, and then just the feedback from really arrogant Americans, the few soccer fans that are out there that were really happy for that win, and then just struggling through that until now. So what is your sort of take on the whole MLS, the whole rivalry between U.S. and Mexico, and then these players going to MLS all of a sudden?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's very interesting. Obviously, on Twitter, it could get a little heated sometimes, back and forth. But yeah, this whole MLS LigaMX rivalry. I mean, it's definitely gotten better over the years. Back then, like even I would say even like 5 years from now, back, it wasn't really a big deal. It was just like LigaMX is completely dominant. Now, I mean, it's actually kind of nice that MLS teams are getting a little bit better, just because now it's actually a rivalry. I mean, they could actually compete with the LigaMX teams, and yeah, I mean, it makes it a lot more exciting. Like the LAFC Leon game was pretty exciting. Let's see how the second leg is, but I mean, I think there's still a significant gap. I think the big difference is the defenses, just because MLS teams don't really invest in defenders that much. That Osvaldo Alanis signing was kind of surprising. But yeah, I think that's the big difference right now. And we look at the signings. Liga MX teams, they still go for defenders in South America. And yeah, MLS teams don't really do that or invest in goalkeepers either. But yeah, it's very interesting right now. I mean, it's definitely getting better as the years go on. I don't think the MLS is as close as people say. Maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's over 10 years still until the MLS really overtakes the Liga MX. But it would eventually happen. It probably will in terms of quality. But in terms of fan base, I see it. I still see that pretty hard to surpass, just because of the big teams. Like America and Chivas, they'll still have so many fans in the U.S.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Like as far as the quality, like you were saying, uh, with the signing of defenders, that doesn't happen in MLS as much as Liga MX. I think that's a good point. The other thing, I was talking to Walter Franco, and and I was sort of coming to the conclusion that, well, he even mentioned that like the top 11 players for MLS aren't going to be as well rounded and as deep as a Liga MX side. Like you might have a Chicharito or a Vela, but then as you go down the roster, they're becoming weaker and weaker players. Whereas Liga MX sides have a strong depth in comparison, and they do well on the pitch. So they end up beating the MLS sides. As far as like the future, I can see MLS eventually taking over, but they would have to. I mentioned this to Walter. They would have to sign all 11 or even more just pure foreigners, pure like Mexicans or South Americans, and then all their American players are gonna have to either ride the bench or barely even get any PT at all. That's the only way that they're
But
gonna compete.
there's a rule, right? On foreigners, on the amount, or
I don't know. I don't know if there
there
is.
is.
I don't know about MLS, but I don't know if there is. But Walter and I seem to agree
That
on
makes it
that.
interesting then. Yeah.
Because that's the only way they're going to be able to compete. I mean, you can't have. I mean, there's a few American. Okay, so like Jordan Morris or Bradley, not Bob Bradley, his son Bradley. What's his name? Michael Bradley.
Yeah.
Like maybe the Altidore, like all the young, the top of the line American guys. Of course, they might get a spot, but
Yeah.
it's going to have to be pure Mexican and South Americans, they're going to have to fill these rosters to be able to compete with Liga MX sides. So
Yeah, I think the big thing right now is like the competition for South American players. When you look at like MLS, they've really been hitting like some of the South American market. And usually, Liga MX teams are the ones that do it. Like yesterday, I was pretty surprised. I was doing like a preview for like the Copa Sudamericana, which was between Flamengo and Independiente del Valle from Ecuador. And I saw that like one of the Independiente del Valle players, he joined. I think it was the Whitecaps. Was it? I think it was one of the MLS teams. And I'm like, whoa, that's usually a signing that that Liga MX would make. And yeah, some of these MLS teams, they're really hitting that South American market, which right now I think that's where the rivalry is at right now, just trying to find those South American players on the market.
Yeah, so and I think the U.S. has sort of an advantage. I mean, in Mexico, the U.S. was sort of thought, well, it is, I guess it still is thought as like a vacation spot. Like, oh yeah, I want to go to Miami or I want to go to Disneyland and things like that. So if all of a sudden these Mexican players or even South American players get to live, right next door to Disneyland and or in Miami and all these like nice spots, then yeah, that's sort of the attraction as opposed to other leagues like LigaMX. But the other thing that you mentioned is the fan base. Like we see the viewership numbers for LigaMX or in the United States.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. The gap is ridiculous on that still. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the thing where Walter says in 5 years people predict that LigaMX will be irrelevant in North America. That only people are going to watch.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So yeah, so like
especially now with teams like I mentioned, like Chivas America, I don't think it'll ever go down. Ever go down.
Yeah, and I was sort of thinking like the only way that would happen, like the main viewership I see of LigaMX and like the Chivas America in the United States are Mexicans that are just either new or just one generation out in the United States. They just came over from Mexico or they're first generation Mexican Americans, and they still have that culture of being a fan of Mexican soccer. If that still exists,
yeah. The thing with that though is like some people say that eventually, the next generations they'll stop watching Liga MX, which may be true. But I think they'll just stop watching soccer in general. I don't think they'll watch MLS. Because when you look at some of these new generations, a lot of them don't really care about soccer that much. I mean, they prefer, basketball, football, some baseball. Baseball not that popular either with the new generations, but definitely football and basketball, I think, are what'll keep MLS from growing as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. So I mean, that's why I sort of see that you and I are on the same page a lot when I see your tweets. And I sort of grew up on the opposite side, like I was saying. I grew up in northern Florida.
Yeah.
No Mexicans around me. It's either your white redneck dudes or black people, and so like I grew up playing basketball. I grew up playing, like football with my friends and things like that. I did play soccer growing up because my dad put me in it when I was little, so I sort of kept with it. But I didn't follow the Mexican national team, or I didn't follow LigaMX or anything. Not even all through high school. I remember I had a poster of like Marco van Basten and Roberto Baggio during that time frame. But that was I didn't follow them. I had Michael Jordan posters a lot more than that. I followed.
And I imagine it was pretty hard to like even get access to Liga MX games over there, right?
Exactly. There was no access at all. I saw Mexico play in the World Cup, and I had those like on VHS tapes and things like that. But other than that, I didn't even get into it until I went and spent some time in Mexico, and then that passion, that sort of thing, that experience sort of hit and got me in depth with Mexican culture. And so I think those experiences are very rare to Mexicans that grew up like in different parts of the middle of the country or different parts where there's not very many Mexicans, and like you said, they'll just end up going to play football or basketball.
Yeah, that's what I think will eventually happen as well. I mean, and that's also competition for the MLS as well. I mean, not just Liga MX, but those other sports. But yeah, when you think about it, like you said, like especially the kids that don't grow up, like in Southern California or stuff, it's gonna be tough for them to get into LigaMX, like you said. Um, but in terms of the fan base, I mean, it'll still be there for sure. I mean, in Mexico, it'll never die down. And that's a big fan base as well. I mean, we look at like Chivas, it's huge. Like right now, that the team is actually, well, they're not doing good, but the team invested in players. You see the big difference of the fans actually turning up and stuff. And I mean, if Chivas ever has a title run and stuff, I mean, you'll see the growth right there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, the Southern California and like LA, that's a sort of that's a different spot, different type of place, different experience. But even there, like I see when I see the LAFC fans, like I sort of want to ask them, like how did you become an LAFC fan? And is that your secondary team or is that your primary team to like a Chivas, like a Mexican league team? It's sort of interesting that, and these guys, a lot of them, I think, speak a little Spanish, if not full Spanish. So a lot
Yeah,
of
there's videos of them in Leon and stuff.
yeah, they were in Leon and they were chanting things in Spanish, singing in Spanish and stuff. But
yeah,
the
my problem, also with some of the MLS fan bases, I think a lot of them just do it, to get that picture at the stadium or for the clout, basically. Which I'm not a fan of that. I feel like a lot of the MLS fans just go just because to like for a picture on their Instagram or something like that.
Oh yeah. I'm not familiar with that, but that'd be a lot of work just to have some, some picture or some video. I saw the video of them, like, because they weren't allowed to take their drums in Leon in the stadium, so they were using cups, banging them against the seats and things. And they're like, man, this is some passionate fans over here using cups. They can't stop their drumming. But yeah, it's sort of unique to see how these guys support an MLS team being in that environment where it's heavily Mexican, heavily, I assume, LigaMX influences there.
Well, I just think it's pretty interesting right now the way that things are heading. I mean, all these tournaments. You got the Leagues Cup coming up, which I'm not a big fan of, to be honest. And then also the All-Star game, actually, pretty interesting. So they're definitely trying to join the two leagues, I would say, or make them play with each other as much as possible, which is interesting. We'll see how it ends up going. I mean, some people say eventually there will be like a league like combined with the two teams. Do you think that'll ever happen, or?
Well, I haven't really thought too much about that, but every indication that I see, I don't think it will happen. It sounds interesting, like the Leagues Cup is goes on, Conca Champions goes on. I don't think the combination would be accepted. I think there's too much separation for that to happen. So I don't really see that. I do enjoy seeing them play, but I think Conca Champions is good enough for me. They could expand Conca Champions. Sort of a mixed Conca Champions / Leagues Cup. That would be, sort of interesting, so you could see more teams just instead of the championship teams. You can see some like mid-tier teams play each other between MLS and LigaMX. I think that would be good.
Also, do you ever think that or when do you think that the stuff on Twitter sometimes escalates too far? Because actually, somebody asked me that on Twitter the other day for an article. They're like, when do you think the going back and forth on Twitter between MLS and LigaMX gets too far? And my answer was, that I thought when people start actually talking about the actual countries instead of the leagues, people are like, oh, Mexico is shitty or whatever. U.S. fans, they'll sometimes say that.
Yeah.
That, in my opinion, is when it gets a little bit too far.
Yeah, I agree. That's like I don't know if it's my list of people I follow. I don't see too bad of things. I don't follow too much MLS people or U.S. national team people, but
yeah.
Yeah, I think I would agree. But like sort of getting into the whole batteries things and the bag of urine, like when Herc Gomez said that, and Miso sort of like got onto him and stuff. I think I don't think Herc is, like if he has proof that it happened, then I would say, okay, go ahead and say that stuff. But if you don't have proof, then why say it? But I wouldn't be like, hey, on my high horse, say, hey, quit talking about Mexico like that. Quit talking about Mexican fans like that. We don't do that. When we've seen plenty of crazy stuff in Mexican stadiums, like
there's definitely there's been some crazy stuff.
like
I mean, you look back at Veracruz, that doesn't exist anymore. That big fight they had with Tigres. Just last season, the San Luis Querétaro, the brawl. I mean, yeah, there's been some crazy stuff in LigaMX stadiums for sure.
yeah. So I don't really like. While I will say like, okay, Herc, show me some proof. I won't be like all white knightish and say, come on, Herc, don't be saying that. When we have like dudes smoking or in Veracruz, like you mentioned, there's a video or a picture of a dude doing sniffing cocaine, dude, sniffing cocaine.
Yeah, there's a video of that. Yeah.
The guys in Monterrey when they were, this wasn't in the stadium, but they were on the street. They beat that dude almost to death. That Tigres fan, I think. The Monterrey guys.
Oh yeah, that was crazy too. Yeah.
There's just all kinds of stuff, man. So like to think that bags of urine or a battery won't be thrown. I'd like to see proof. But man, these dudes are crazy sometimes, and worse things have happened.
Yeah, especially deep in Mexico, it's where it starts getting a little bit crazy. I mean, down in the south over there, like near Puebla and stuff, you'll see a bit of the difference as well. I mean, some people, like in Monterrey, maybe it's calmer, like in certain areas. I mean, there was that big fight, but I went to the El Volcán, the Tigres stadium, and me and my friend, we were the only ones wearing Puebla gear, like in the whole stadium, basically. We were surrounded by Tigres fans.
Mm-hmm.
We celebrated the goal. I was expecting, something to be thrown at me. I was already expecting it, but nothing happened, and nobody said anything to us. So, I mean, it was actually pretty calm over there.
Yeah, I see that quite a bit. Like even from on TV, lower down, you'll see.
Yeah.
As long as I guess you're respectful and stuff, or if you're not around like some drunk dudes or something.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in TJ, they used to, throw their drinks up in there after every goal until it got a little bit like out of hand, and yeah, they banned that too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so I think of a picture, like a meme that was around. It was of two guys. Like one guy was assaulting him with a gun and like robbing him. And we hear jokes about, oh, I flew over Mexico City and my wallet was gone, or I went to Azteca and my wallet disappeared. Just big fun.
Although, did you hear that story about like the NFL game that was done at Azteca?
No, I haven't heard that. What happened?
You remember the NFL game, right?
Yeah.
Last year?
Yeah.
Like the Chiefs and the Chargers, was it? Yeah. That like 30 people got robbed, leaving the Azteca.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's America fans going there.
And they didn't even notice. It was like I think they were all pickpocketed.
Oh, dang. They went through the metro or something.
But yeah, Mexico City, I mean, you got to be careful. You got to be really careful. Mexico City.
Yeah, so like this meme, it was a picture and it said, "This is Mexico," and it just shows the single picture of a guy getting robbed at gunpoint. And then people were like, "No, how dare you talk about Mexico that way?" And then someone posted the same picture or a different picture and it said, "This is Mexico," and it had like a beautiful beach, beautiful like colonial buildings, beautiful scenery.
Oh, I saw that one. Yeah.
And then it still had the picture of the dude getting robbed.
I did see that one actually.
So
you think when these players like they choose MLS, do you think the security might have to do with some of their decisions?
I think so because like all this Chicharito talk about like the league is getting better, or Pizarro saying, this is my springboard to Europe, where it's all pretty much false and stuff.
That was kind of crazy that Pizarro said that actually.
Yeah, I think they eat stuff up like on media and on news outlets. If you're a South American and you're looking at like U.S. news outlets, or I don't know how it is in South America, you're going to see just negative things about Mexico, about like narcos and crime and feminicidios and all this stuff.
Especially the U.S. outlets, you'll see like all the negative stuff.
Yeah, you're going to be like, man, I ain't going to Mexico and stuff. And so like if a South American, sees Mexico in that light, they're going to be like, okay, MLS, throw me something, send me something. I'll go there for whatever. So I think that does, man. That might play as a, and that's the main thing we hear is like quality of life. Oh, MLS, quality of life, quality of life. So
Yeah, that's the main argument when I was here too. But I mean, when you look at Mexico, I mean, yeah, there's definitely some problems within the country. But these players though, like I really don't see that they're in actual danger. Because in Mexico, I think when you have a certain amount of money, like nothing will really happen to you, because you'll be in certain areas
yeah,
where nothing happens. Like in Puebla, for instance, like it's a pretty calm city, but if you live like in the nicest part of the city, like nothing will happen to you. Like
yeah. Even like in down, like in my, I spent a lot of time in Querétaro and Guanajuato and even Mexico City. Like if you go to the nicer, to the downtown places, or the centros where like the plazas and things like that,
yeah,
and you're pretty good. You're pretty safe.
yeah, Querétaro, I've been there too. It's really nice. So
Yeah, but yeah. So Mexico, I mean, it has
yeah,
negatives, but I think players do very well. Like you see Pulido when he was in Guadalajara, he had all kinds of Instagram stories of
yeah, and then
enjoying.
people bring up like the whole like the secuestro thing, the kidnapping of Pulido. You look at that was in Tamaulipas though, like
Yeah, that's somewhere
like
else.
Tamaulipas is pretty bad, and there's no LigaMX team there. There's essential teams there, but there's no LigaMX team there right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a unique, that's a different situation. He was enjoying it in Guadalajara though. He was like on the
Oh
beach. He
yeah,
was going to Vallarta and going to all these places and posting it on his Instagram. So it wasn't
he had
no.
a Ferrari.
Yeah, Guadalajara was very nice to Pulido, and now he's like in the middle of some sporting
Middle of
case,
Kansas.
middle of Kansas. So yeah, that's it's the news portrays the negative a lot. Scares the gringos.
Yeah, it's very interesting going forward to see how these players will like decide where to go. I mean, yeah, I mean you're seeing it more and more now. For me, the big worry isn't like Chicharito going to the MLS, Carlos Vela going to the MLS. For me, what will make the difference is, like I said before, like those South American signings. That's what can decide which league will eventually overtake the other. I mean, it'll really be on the South American market, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, I agree as well. And as far as like the Chicharito, I have no problem with Chicharito going
Yeah, same.
or
For me.
Pizarro because I think these guys have come to the end or did not make a European career. Like Pizarro, he didn't make it. He went to the Club
Yeah.
World Cup with eyes on him. He
It's
did
going to
it.
be so hard for him to jump to Europe just because of his price tag as well. I mean,
Yeah.
no European team is going to really pay that much for him.
He just didn't cut it. And like even the guys that do cut it, like Chucky and Linus, they're struggling. A lot of
Alvarez
this,
too.
yeah. So for a Mexican to go to Europe, they can't be some mid-tier who's like an iffy call-up to the national team. They have to be a legitimate star on the national team, and then they would go like a Raúl Jimenez. Then they would go to Europe. No doubt about it. But a guy who like Pizarro, who okay, he's our Gold Cup option, but he's not our senior team World Cup option. Those types of guys are going to be iffy for Europe, so they're going to go to MLS. Chicharito, he was done. He wasn't playing in Europe, so he's going to MLS. Vela is sort of the only exception. I think Vela still, had it, the talent, but it was like his mindset. He was like, okay, I want to rest. I'm going.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, he could have kept. Yeah, he could have kept on going for at least 3 more years at least.
So if we were to see, like, let me see who's coming up right now. I can't even think like an up and comer like maybe Macias. I don't. An up and comer guy that we have hopes to go to Europe. If they choose to go to MLS instead, then it's like okay.
Yeah, Macias, I wouldn't actually see as a lock to go to Europe, to be honest, right now. And he's probably like the most promising player right now in Mexico, or Mexican player in Mexico. And when you look at that, that's kind of worrying though. The fact that the Mexican team, that is kind of worrying actually, because the U.S. team, when you look at them, they have all these players in Europe already, and when you look at the U.S. team, I think it will get better. The USMT, I think it will get better as time goes on, just because of all those players they have over there in Europe. While the Mexican team, it's a lot of players that they're pretty good at the beginning. They get overvalued, and then they'll never go to Europe. So that is worrying in that scenario.
Yeah, I think more so for the Mexican side, like for on the U.S. side, like the way I've thought about it for so many years, even back like in the 2000s, is all these U.S. players go to Europe, but they're playing like in second division teams or they're playing like in the lower level teams, and they're not really doing much. They're in Europe, but they're playing for who, like FC who, and, and so like the only exception would be Pulisic, who made it.
Or what's his name, McKinney as well, right?
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with that dude, but yeah, like these few guys will make it to bigger teams, but the rest are sort of like in lower level, and it's like they don't really, they don't really impact the national team for the United
Or
States.
they wouldn't even make it right to the national team.
Yeah, and then if in MLS, they're getting all the South Americans and Mexicans, and then all these dudes are not even playing. So in the future, I don't really see, like, the only way I see the U.S. national team doing better than Mexico, or doing really well, is if soccer becomes the #1 sport in the United States, which will never happen in my opinion.
No, it's impossible. Yeah, I never see that. I never see that happening ever, just because of how popular, like we said, how popular football and basketball is, and also the wage gap. I would say as well. Like a lot of these like young kids, like when they see the different wages playing, in the NBA as opposed to playing the MLS, they're gonna pick the NBA.
Yeah, like whenever people would say, like, I think the U.S. guys would say, if all of our basketball and NFL players were playing soccer, we would dominate the world. And that's sort of correct, but people look at it in the wrong way. Like if you take LeBron James
Did you
right
see
now,
that post like on Twitter? They put that quote, and then it was like a video of LeBron James like kicking the ball, but like couldn't even dribble or anything.
yeah, like that's the initial, like, analyzing that statement. That's the initial thought is like LeBron James put on the soccer cleats right now. No, that's not the case, man. If LeBron James grew up with soccer passionate fans and parents all around him, then he would play soccer from when he was 3 years old. Then maybe we could be talking about something else, or not even LeBron James, but like another. I mean, he's sort of tall, but like all these other athletes that are dedicating their lives to baseball, football. If they were growing up playing soccer, then the United States national team would be something totally different. So it's not a when people say that, I don't think of it. Oh, let's take all of our football players that are in the NFL and then put on cleats because they're gonna totally suck. No, you take all those football players and all the athletes in the whole United States, rewind their lives to where they're 1 year old, and start training them in soccer. Then we'll see what happens, and we'll see these guys develop into really good soccer players. But then I guess there's also like the, I don't know, like the culture and just like physical attributes. I think like Mexicans and South Americans, even though they're not the biggest and strongest, the touch and technique seems to be a lot more capable, or a lot easier to be at a high level with touch and technique than like a big brute strong dude, like a big strong American corn-fed dude.
Yeah, because when you look at like soccer teams, and you don't really see top players all that often. I mean, you'll see them like center backs, maybe strikers here and there, and they're not always the the most gifted players.
Yeah, they're not gonna trap the ball like Uriel Antuna and all that stuff.
There's a recent article, or there was like news about like is the Mexican press like really going downhill just because of I don't know if you saw that, just because of they kept on pressing on the Uriel Antuna, how he kept on missing.
Yeah.
And they also kept on pressing on the Rafa Puente, how he like said that journalism is like an easy job or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting topic. I'm glad you bring that up, because like I get, okay, the Rafa Puente thing. I don't have a problem with what he said. I think he's wrong and stuff. But the whole reaction that Univision de TUDN did, like the whole panel, and you had what's her name? She was like heading.
And they talked about it for like a few days as well.
I know, they were just going off. They're like defending their lives and stuff, man. I'm like, okay, he said something that was not totally correct, but quit whining about it, man.
Yeah, I didn't really like. Yeah, me neither. I didn't really have a problem with it just because I get where he's coming from. Like he grew up as like an entitled kid. His dad, was pretty powerful as well. And for him, it's like because he had a job guaranteed, and he'll always have a job, guaranteed in media. So I get his perspective of it, and then he probably doesn't know the other side to it.
I would say though that like the coaching, like you even look at Mexico, how many times is a coach fired, or how many times are they? I mean, sure you get recycled, so you have that hope of okay, I'll be on another team. But how many times if you start losing, Tena, that dude's on his job is on the line, man. Now,
no, eventually there's some coaches that they won't get recycled anymore. Like you see that maybe now with Romano, like he's basically done.
Yeah, he's done.
Also Mario Carrillo, how long has he been, an analyst now for, and nobody's hired him as well.
Yeah, exactly. But he's sure has a job on Picante. Like all these dudes, sure, like Bermudez
or Chelis as well.
All these guys, they are secured in journalism. All these journalists are there forever. Like even Alvaro Morales, even with all his clowning and stuff, he's gonna be there, man. He's not worried about losing his job. Whereas all these coaches, all these coaches feel the pressure. If they don't put out results, they're going to be gone. So there is sort of a point what Rafa has, and that goes into the what was the other thing? Oh, the Alvaro Morales. Like I am laughing at this dude. Some people are like hating on that guy. And it is sort of bullying. That is sort of messed up, man. Like what he's doing.
But he said before though that it's a tactic. Like he said that it's a persona. Yeah. He said like don't take it seriously. He said that before, and people still take it seriously.
It's ratings though, dude. I love it. Like people hate Picante. I'm like, why you hate Picante? Just because they yell at each other? Man, I'm rolling at this stuff, man. I don't care if they're acting like a bunch of kids and arguing and like talking over each other. I'm enjoying that stuff.
It's good entertainment,
Yeah, man. You could call Alvaro Morales a clown and stuff. That's fine. But I'm sitting here laughing, dude. And he does sort of have a point, I think. And I'm sort of interested in seeing Chivas now to see if that dude is really in his head. Because if he misses another one, man, it's gonna be on.
Oh, you're gonna be like Alvaro Morales in his head.
Yeah,
that's gonna be interesting going forward as well. Like hopefully this Friday, if he scores, that'll be huge. Like if I'm there, and I can get the clip of him like sending the message to Alvaro or something, that'll be huge.
Oh yeah, dude. If he scores, that's gonna be even good. Also, like it'll prove him wrong. It'll be like the whole. What is it? Hashtag Calla y escucha. Calla y mira my goal that I just scored, dude.
Have you seen that show or no?
I haven't, man. I didn't even know about it until you started tweeting that hashtag out. But then I saw
it. Oh, it's been around for like 2 years now, but it's really good as well. It's really good as well because he hosts it.
Yeah.
And like he always puts like it's 2 other journalists with him as well. They rotate. But the other 2 journalists always end up fighting because Alvaro Morales kind of pushes them.
See, that's all good to me, man. And I like his laugh. I like the
He's like the evil villain, man. It's
yeah, man, that's all good stuff. Oh, jeez. All right, man. Well, I don't want to take too much more of your time, but thanks for coming on. It was a good discussion. Thanks for sharing a little bit of your insights and your history. And I'll just say it to everyone: follow Francisco Velasco on Twitter. And where else do you want to, or where else can we find your content?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And you guys can subscribe to me on YouTube. Do a lot of stuff on YouTube. It's Francisco Velasco. And guys, appreciate it.
All right, man. Thank you for coming on.